In this presentation, we will discuss the process of addressing our open items, the questions that we have had as we have entered data from the bank statement into the QuickBooks file so far. First, we'll look for more accounting information and accounting courses. Visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Locate our open items that we've been putting together. So I'm going to go into our folder for our client folder. We're going to go into our documents and we're going to take a look at the 2019 and the January documents. So if we go into there, we have open items. These are the questions that we've been putting together as we've been entering data into the system. If we open up the open items, then we notice we pushed forward as we've entered this data, meaning as we had these open items, we didn't let them stop us from continuing in the process and entering more data into the system. What we have done is just write this information down so that we can go back, ask our customers about them, and once we have that information, then we can go back into our system and make the appropriate adjustments. And we've put the information into the system so that we can both reconcile and go back easily and find those areas where we need to make adjustments within the system. So this is going to be the questions that we're going to give to the client then, and we're not going to format it necessarily just like this. We're going to clean it up and ask these questions. We're going to group things together that we can in order to make it clean and not overwhelm anybody with too many questions. So we'll try to get the information we need without overwhelming and without sending too many emails out. We want to get it out in one or as few emails as possible with all the questions in as clear a format as possible. So we won't go through just the whole email of reformatting this information. But this is the type of information we want to put into a format to email. And then once we get that information, we can go back in and make the adjustments that we need to make in the system. Within our example problem, we'll note that the adjustments will typically take the form of either one, we're going to have issues with inventory in our problem. Now, if this was a typical client, we hopefully would have worked out the inventory beforehand because we had it in our questionnaire and we decided how we're going to deal with inventory. With our problem here, we decided to take on a customer with inventory, and we haven't fully worked out how we're going to deal with it. So we'll give some examples of different options you could think about with a client that has inventory. How would we deal with that? Same for the credit card. In practice, we hopefully, if they say they have a credit card, we would have asked them within the questionnaire process and hopefully made a plan at that point in time. We here are going to see that there's credit card payments, and we'll discuss different options we could have for dealing with credit card payments with a customer file and or our own file. Payroll is another issue. In our customer file here, we in the questionnaire would ask, do you have payroll or not, and see if how we want to deal with that payroll. In this practice, we're going to show a couple different ways that we can deal with payroll. Our customer has payroll here, so we're going to think about how to deal with that and show a couple formats in which we can deal with that. Equipment purchases is something that often comes up that we wouldn't really ask in our questionnaire, meaning if they made large purchases, we have to determine what those large purchases are, and if they financed some of those large purchases, how are we going to put those on the books? We'll talk about a few options for that. Loans, same thing. If they got the loan because they financed equipment, a loan on the financing of the equipment, or just a straight loan from the bank, how are we going to deal with that? That's another one we probably wouldn't ask in the questionnaire, or may not as we start the company, and they may take out a loan as we go, and we're going to have to figure out, well, how are we going to deal with those loan payments? And then we've got invoicing. This won't be in our normal questionnaires, but this is something that could come up with customers and clients in terms of how do we track accounts receivable and how do we track invoices? Can you help me to make invoices so I can give those to my customers? And that's one of the common uses of QuickBooks software. Some people use QuickBooks almost exclusively to make invoices and just track that billing side of the system. So we'll discuss different options maybe to help with the setting up of the QuickBooks without it kind of messing up our bookkeeping on a cash basis system as well. In order to do that, we're going to set up these 3 QuickBooks files as we've done so far to answer these questions. Now in practice, of course, we would only have one QuickBooks file, and we would just be making a decision on how we're going to do with this stuff, and then work through the problem in that format, work through our client relationship in that format. Here, however, we just want to demonstrate the different ways we can put this information in place. So we have 3 data files at this point. We're going to go through part 1, which will be the kind of most simplistic area. So we're going to say all of these items here. If there's more than one avenue we can take, then we're going to take the most simplistic avenue with up here. That means less detail, but more simplicity. So this would be the easiest route. And then we're going to have option 2, which will kind of be the middle route. We're going to say, okay, we'll add a little bit more complexity. And then step 3, the file 3, this should be file 1, 2, and 3. File 3 then, the last one, will be the more complex one. And we'll add some more accrual kind of components down here in the file 3 as we go through. So we can verge out, we can take some divergence and see some different types of options we might want to do. These are different options that we can decide to do for every client. Just say this is how it's going to be. We only want clients that are going to be falling into this simple plan, and that's our model. And if customers want more than that, then we're going to have to deal with something outside of our model. Possibly that's someone that we don't want to pick up as a customer because we want to specialize in this particular area. Or we might have more variance, and these might be some options that we can discuss with customers and vary possibly our payment plans with the level of complexity that we provide. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.